Hey everybody, Denver Riggleman here, former congressman, former senior technical advisor to the January 6th committee, and in bad lighting here in a hotel room. I figured I had to do this spontaneously, and even though I'm on travel, I think I owe it to individuals and to people out there through the MeidasTouch network to talk about the Hunter Biden lawsuits against Rudy Giuliani and Garrett Ziegler. I want to talk about how the media has actually let down most of the people following this case, or all of them, but also how non forensic data can be ripped apart and examined using forensic techniques, and why it's so dangerous for individuals to meddle if you have real forensic professionals looking at data. I'm also going to tell you why the Hunter Biden team is being so aggressive. But first, let's start with the data itself. I'm sure many of you have seen reports from CBS or WAPO where people saying that, and most of those people being those who think Hunter Biden's laptop has even created COVID, but you've seen people talk about these publications validating Hunter Biden's laptop, and even talking about the whistleblowers in the FBI validating a laptop. Well, I'm sorry to say, folks, that a lot of those publications like CBS and WAPO, and especially the New York Post, were simply wrong. Now, they could have been wrong by accident. They didn't know exactly what the question was or how the data was supposed to be categorized. But when you talk about validating a laptop, you have to have certain codes or certain algorithmic ways to validate that data. When you read the articles from CBS and WAPO and even New York Post, which is the worst of them, let's be honest, you can see that they never identified it as coming from a laptop. Why? Because it's impossible. There is no forensic evidence or forensic chain of custody to indicate in any way that any data in the public sphere that's been attributed to Hunter Biden's laptop is actually from the laptop. Now, think about what I just said there. Also, we also know now, since now the Hunter Biden team has the John Paul MacIsaac data that was given to Rudy Giuliani and given to CBS, we also know that that data had no forensic chain of custody, and it was not a forensic copy of any type of laptop or even multiple devices that we can see. It was just a copy paste of files, more or less. There is no forensic chain of custody. And when Rudy Giuliani got that data bloomed everywhere to multiple people, dozens of individuals who touched Hunter Biden's data in one way or the other, wherever that data came from. Now, obviously, I'm not going to say there's not one laptop out there. That would be ludicrous. But to say that there's not multiple devices out there would be ludicrous also. We know that there's different data sets in different portions of the internet attributed to Hunter's data or to Hunter's laptop. Again, that should be alarm bells for everybody. But it's boring. It's not as sexy as Hunter Biden's laptop as part of a globalist or deep state conspiracy theory or part of child trafficking rings or part of money laundering or part of improper influence or part of Ukraine or part of China, all the sexy stories that people want to report on. This is our issue. The media was using sourcing from data that had no forensic chain of custody and using people that were involved with J6. Steve Bannon, Rudy Giuliani, Garrett Ziegler, who worked for Peter Navarro, part of the J6 conspiracy lunacy, Jack Maxey, worked with Steve Bannon, Guo Wingji. You're talking about all these individuals that are either in jail, some have been charged, most are being sued. You have those that have lost their law licenses, you have felons. All of this is happening. These are the sources that the mainstream press have used to push the Hunter Biden narrative. So no forensic data and sources that were exactly the same as the J6 conspiracy push. Mainstream media is asking the wrong questions. They're saying, is Hunter guilty? Guilty of what? That's the thing about data. It can be very boring. What I'm trying to tell everybody here is that data, ones and zeros, make the best witness. Validated data is what we need to use for facts-based insights. Now, I'm not on the legal side, just on the data forensic side. We've delivered our data. But now that we've had the data from John Paul MacIsaac, we can also tell you unequivocally that either it was worded badly, that maybe CBS had forensic individuals that were just looking at data rather than what device it might have come from. In the New York Post, which I'm going to have another MeidasTouch network hit, where I talk about that ridiculousness when it comes to the United States Secret Service and the ridiculous reporting from the New York Post. But we have to talk about the media being complicit, many of them using sources and data that are unverifiable. Now, when you talk about using non-forensic techniques against forensic data. That's something we did. That led us to the questions that we needed to ask to get to where we are today. Once you see data in the, say, outside in the public that's supposed to come from a device, but it can't be proven to come from a device, that means that we have to look deeper. So now that we do have forensic data, the Hunter Biden team has more forensic data than anybody else out there, we can actually start to compare and contrast. And that's why you see the aggressiveness from the Hunter Biden legal team. Now, again, I'm sorry, I'm doing this really in one take, right here in a hotel room for MeidasTouch. But I want people to be aware that when you see reporting or reporters saying that the Hunter Biden laptop has been validated, we can say that the FBI has a laptop. What we can't say is that the data in the public sphere, any of it that's attributed to a laptop, is from one laptop or from multiple devices or even from hacked data. We know data has been manipulated. We know data has been added or it's been deleted. All the data sources that we have that were supposedly either pristine or used for reports like Marco Polo or the 4chan data set have no forensic tail. They do not exist. And that's by using forensic science. Now, on the legal side, do I know how it's going to turn out for Hunter when it comes to some of these things that he's been charged with, whether it's gun charges, whether it's other charges of that nature? I don't, because that's the criminal side of it. On things that were already down the road when I came on. But I can tell you this, is that disinformation is real, and destroying somebody's digital identity is something we all have to worry about. Even if somebody has done something bad in the past, doesn't mean that they should be judged for that in eternity, especially if you're an addict. I think that's the one thing that I've learned about this, is to really have more compassion for individuals. But I want to tell everybody here, when you're looking at reporting that's going on right now, the first thing you should ask is, what's the source? The second thing you should ask is the data validated? And the third thing you should ask is, do they even understand the data they're looking at? So again, thank you very much. It was great to be here. I know this wasn't probably the longest one for MeidasTouch, but I wanted to ensure all of you that whatever I put out there and our forensic team puts out there, it is validated data. It is something that will stand up in court. And right now, what you're looking at what's happening to one individual, or you're looking at committees trying to link Hunter with the president on certain types of crimes, you can be curious. You can maybe be skeptical. You can say that maybe all politicians do this. Maybe this is how we are. Maybe it's all about influence peddling. All these things you're allowed to think. But I would ask you, as somebody watching this that has a baseline of wanting to know the truth, what is the source? And if I say the names again and the pictures pop up, do you trust the sourcing from Rudy Giuliani? Do you trust the sourcing from John Paul MacIsaac? Do you trust the sourcing from Steve Bannon? Do you trust the sourcing from Bob Costello? Do you trust the sourcing from Garrett Ziegler? Do you trust the sourcing, and you can look into this individual, of Tory Morris? Do you trust the sourcing of Patrick Byrne? Do you trust the sourcing of any of those? And as you saw those pictures pop up, what's the first thing you think of? Is it valid source? It isn't. Again, look at the sourcing, look at the data. Here's what I can say to you. As you watch the lawsuits come out, read them, and you can see why there's a lot of confidence in what we're seeing in data. This is a new world. The information war is a new forever war. I'm happy to be a person that people can trust to just look at data. Now, if other things come, and we have to look at that in the future, there's other forensic patterns we have to see, or we have to figure out, we will do that. But before that happens, I just want everybody to know the right thing is going to be done when it comes to data by people like me and other people who want the American people to know the truth. Have a great night.
Hey, Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.